is the House of Parliament, where men and women have sat for decades, making decisions that would affect all our lives. Do they really work in the interests of the people or themselves? They sit at the round tables, trying to decipher which way to turn. Is it left or is it right? Have the people benefited from those decisions? Our people have suffered for far too long. Change should not be a figment of the imagination, but reality. Every boy, every girl, every man, every woman are equally important. The market vendor joyfully sells her produce. The fish vendor skillfully uses his cutlass to cut the fish. Keep on working. Let your smile be your motivation. Build a community of brotherly and sisterly love. Don't give up on your dreams. Surround yourself with positive thinkers. Think big and keep on moving. Keep pushing the envelope. Yes, push that envelope until you have succeeded. You may have made many mistakes, but that is no reason to stop. Don't you dare give up. Get ready for that overflow. Get ready for that breakthrough. The overflow is coming. Showers of blessings. Stay cool. Stay calm. Stay collective. Ride the rough waves of life. Hold on to that rope tightly. Just keep working. Keep moving. Keep believing. Self-motivation. Good evening, everyone. I know you guys were sitting on pins and needles saying, where is Soso? Where is Soso? Soso is here. Good night, everyone, and welcome to Lies and Deceit. I am your host, Soraya Alexander, better known as Soso, and you are watching this, fantabulous production. Compliments my 17-year-old son, Akeem Ernest, who is my producer. And what I would like you to know, had I have to get a producer to produce this quality of work for me, I would have to pay like $5,000 to $6,000 a month. So we really have to appreciate my producer, who's my son, Akeem Ernest, and I thank God for blessing me with wonderful kids, Akeem Ernest, Kyle Ernest. Kyle is a very brilliant young man too. Kyle is not in the production thing, but Kyle loves his music. Kyle is excelling, soon to be living, to go overseas to do some stuff. So I have to thank God for my children. They keep me alive and they keep me happy. And I want to say a special good evening. I want to say a special good evening to all my senior citizens watching me on GVD TV Flow 115. Welcome, my sweet senior citizens. I love you all. Whether you are in St. Lucia or whether you are overseas, I really do love you. And thank you for making the time to support Soso. It is such a joy coming here to speak to y'all. And I was a bit flattered and humbled today because, I was kind of busy, but I was able to catch a glimpse of what was happening on Sky FM. And I heard, a gentleman spoke highly of me, and I want to tell you, thank you, sir. I am doing my best, and I am here to bring the truth to the people of St. Lucia. And as I've always said, I'm not doing this of my own strength. And I think when the gentleman spoke to Champagne on Sky FM, he mentioned that. He gave me so many props. Thank you. This really makes me feel nice and happy that people appreciate what I'm doing. Thank you so much, whoever you are, sir. And I want to say welcome to all my fans on YouTube. Welcome. All my fans on Facebook. Welcome. And the show has really grown. And it is because people are realizing that so I am not going to be biased. I'm going to call it as I see it. And you know, tonight we have a special guest, but let me say thank you. Let me say thank you to some of you. You know, you guys are just, hi Gloriana Novel, good night, you're on YouTube. Hey, my YouTube people, the numbers are racking up. You'll love YouTube. But I must, you know, it would be remiss of me because, as I've always said, the show is alive and well because of the people who support my show. And as I've always said to you, I do not have sponsors. And if you are thinking, when I started to do this, Mr. Joseph, if you can hear me, just put your phone on mute. I'm hearing your messages coming through. So just put it on mute for me, please. Thank you. When I started to do this, I just started to say, okay, let me just come and talk. My son said no. And that's why I said we need to use our young people for the betterment of our country. So those who have not heard the story in TV land, I have no sponsors. So my son said, Mommy, there must be a way. You're giving free consultation. You're doing this, you're doing that. There must be a way for people to say, thank you, Mommy. And then he just wrote, buy me a coffee, right? Excuse me, he just wrote, buy me a coffee. And then he went on the internet to look, and then there was this company offering this service. So the reason why we have buy me a coffee is to say thank you to so-so, because I do not want to sing any business narrative, any sponsor's narrative. I want to come here and speak the truth. And I realize many of you have accepted that so-so is real. You all like my honesty, and I appreciate you for that. And allow me to say good night to someone. Just bought me some coffees. Thank you. I got a message from Marilise all the way in London. She's actually 5 hours ahead of me. People were buying coffees all throughout the day for this show and the last show I did last night. And the person said, hello, so-so, and your charming Prince Akeem. I hope I can stay up for the live tonight, wee hours of the morning, as I keep falling asleep before you even start. We are now 5 hours ahead of you, but I still want to be in the midst of things. I can listen later on in the day, but I prefer the live. Everybody do. My love to both you and Akeem. That son of yours is a genius. I guess he picks up his mama's habits. Good on him. Thank you so much, Marilise. You have been an unwavering supporter, and I love you, and I thank you for that dearly. And I know you like to be, you know, in the light, but I understand that you are 5 hours ahead of me in the UK, and I pray that God just continue bless you. And somebody else bought me coffees, and the person said, many thanks for always hosting such high standard shows. Blessing to you and your family. Thank you very much. As I said, I may have the intellectual knowledge to come and speak to you, but this production is all as a result of Akeem Ernest. Another one bought me many coffees, and the person said, hi, Soraya. My name is Joan McDonald, and I must say you have been doing a very good job. Show bring out the truth to St. Lucians. I pray and hope that they are taking heed as to what you are doing. So once again, for all your hard work, and I'm here to stand and support you in any way I can. We'll be watching tonight. Thanks very much. And someone else bought a lot of coffee, and Nolissa bought coffee, and she said, so you are great. Thank you, darling. I'm humbled. Like I said, you know, this is of God. I didn't do this by myself because everything has been going pretty well for us. I have been in Philly for 3 months, and I have everyone around me listening to all your shows. Last night, my grandson told me, don't forget so-so tonight. Oh, thanks, darling. Thanks for telling Grandma, don't forget so-so tonight. Thank you so much. And Veronica said, love the show, so-so. Keep it coming. Okay, and Electra said, lent over, let me buy my coffee, mind our business. Electra, you're too funny. I realize I've missed you, Electra. Welcome back, darling. Melissa bought me coffee, and she said, my coffee needs milk. Yeah, I like milk in my coffee, too. That's my secret. If you know, you know. And Anna B bought me coffee from the last show, And I want to say thank you to all of you. I had to recognize you all. I want to say hi to my darling Miriam and Anisha. I want to say hi to all of you, all the people who continue support. A lot of people support, but they do not want me to mention their name. So I have to respect their wishes and don't mention their name. But tonight we are going down very hard. It's going to be a show for you to listen. And people, please encourage your friends to listen. This show is not about UWP or SLP. It's about the truth. Because if you really know so, when it's time for her to pluck UWP, they're getting plucked left, right, and center. Who vex them, our business. But I still love them and I still love all of you. So let me bring on Mr. Guy Joseph. Since when that's your role? Welcome, Mr. Joseph.
Thank you. So good night to you and good night to all your listeners, your followers, your viewers. And I too want to join in complimenting Akim for the work that he is doing.
Thank you.
I know we sometimes have problems connecting, but the production is high quality. And
Thank you.
this is an area that is it has a lot of potential for
Yes.
our young people. And when I see young persons taking on that role, then it tells me that the future will be in good hands.
Yes.
Um, Tonight, I will begin on a sad note because of the passing of Eli Louis.
Oh, yes.
Um, it was very, very touching for me because I spoke to Eli the Friday morning. He's the one handling every piece of documentation for Sky FM. And with all of the negotiations that are going on with NTRC, he's the one doing it. We've had very close connections, and not just because of politics. From the days when his dad was in charge of the boxing planting forest here. So being from the community of Kako, these are well-known people to us. So I want to take this opportunity to extend on behalf of my family to his family our sincerest condolences, and we keep them in our prayers that God will give them strength to deal with that particular situation, because it is never easy, especially when it is so unexpected in that manner. Having flown to England on the Good Friday, and to hear of his passing on the Saturday into the Sunday was indeed sad news. And when we think we are high and mighty and everything that is how life is, like a vapor. That's how the Bible describes it. Or like a blade of grass. Today it's there and tomorrow it's cast away into the fire. So, or a vapor, by the time the sun comes up, then it disappears. Outside of God, our life is really nothing. And that is why we need to be very mindful how we live and how we impact the people that we come into contact with. So like you, so I want to, being on my third program with you, I want to extend special greetings to all my very special people. Margarita in Texas, I know she always tells me, no matter what program I'm on, she listens. I'm sorry I couldn't come up to celebrate your birthday with you, but rest assured I will be coming up sometime this year. To all my fans over in Worcester, in Boston, in my niece in Pepperell, my sister up there, and to all family and friends far and near, and all those well-wishers, all the people who meet me and encourage me on a daily basis, to not give up and to keep focused, because they believe that St. Lucia still needs us to do something. And I believe that whether I am involved in active politics or not, St. Lucia is still my homeland. And I was very active in my country before I came into the political arena, in the public transport sector, as a farmer, as a community organizer, You know, my Good Friday cricket did not take place this Good Friday, although I saw the parliamentary rep try to do something on the Sunday. And I do show respect to what he did because I guess he realized that the Good Friday tournament was not a political tournament. It was something that I started as a community person back in 1995.
Wow.
I came into politics in 2006. So it was almost 11 years running that competition in the community, and it has grown. Um, I've been criticized a lot by the Labour Party for it, for having cricket on Good Friday, yet they came in and organized cricket on Easter Sunday. And I'm trying to figure out, so what's the difference between Good Friday and Easter Sunday? But, you know, in the political arena, stranger things have happened. Um, I want to send a message to our people in St. Lucia. A lot of people meet me and now they put a disclaimer to the representation of the Labour Party. They tell you, I didn't put them there. Now, if you did not vote UWP, you put the Labour Party there,
That's
whether you
right.
voted
You
or you
stayed
did
home.
not vote.
That's right.
Because if you did not vote, which means you accepted the vote of those who voted, and those who voted would have voted on your behalf. You know,
Exactly.
I never understand. There's so much discussion about Black people and what has happened to us over the years. And sometimes people look at you as because I'm Indian that I'm not Black. So it's almost as if I appear nowhere because I'm as St. Lucian as St. Lucian can be. Um, yes, my parents of Indian heritage, but both my mother and father was born in St. Lucia. And then people sometimes try to label you as Indian or as Negro or as Black or as white. Um, Whatever category you put me in, it's okay, but I'm St. Lucian first.
Amen.
And there was so much struggle for Black people to get a say in the affairs of this world. And now these same Black people will tell you, me, I ain't voting, I'm not doing this. If they could not, they would have said, oh, if only I could.
I would.
How much of a difference would it make?
Oh,
And
this.
at the end of the day, you know, we never really know what we want.
No, we don't.
I wish above all things that our people would begin to think for themselves, read for themselves, pay attention to what is happening, and stop allowing other people to think for you.
That's
Because
right.
too much of that is happening in St. Lucia, where people are thinking for us. And no matter how you present the truth, I know the title of your program is Lies and Deceit, but what you are doing is exposing the lies and deceit by telling the truth.
Amen.
And what I learned is that if you work at the bank, they will not teach you to identify counterfeit currency. They will show you the real currency and all the features of a genuine $100 bill. So once you see a counterfeit, you can identify it because the counterfeits may vary, but the original, the genuine remains the same. So you don't go about trying to study what is false. If you know the truth, then you can identify falsehood whenever you hear it or you see. And that is what I'm happy about with your show, that you're exposing the lies and deceit by bringing the truth out. And anybody listening to your show, I have not heard one person challenge the information given on Soso's programs, because it tells me that, like myself, you do your research, you make sure that you know what you are talking about when you come and talk about something. And sometimes my wife tells me, you know, you must not always say that. I like to be right. It's not my fault. It's in my nature.
Ah, yes.
I am, I enjoy being right. And the only way you can be right is to make sure you know what you're talking about. You
Exactly.
do the necessary research. Not only I like to be right, I like to do things well.
Yes.
Everything that I put my hands to, I want it to be done very well. Imagine, I'm not feeling very well tonight, but
Okay.
because I'm committed to the program, I've had a headache for the last couple of days.
Oh,
And
so
who tell
sorry
you,
about
I
that.
didn't go and play a cricket match on Monday,
Oh.
Easter holiday. There was that celebrity cricket match at the Mindu Philip Park, and my name was featured as one of the persons. And I have to compliment Brian Calix for putting that competition together. And it was a very good effort. Imagine the team I played against. You had people like Darren Sammy
Okay.
and Gary Matre, former West Indies players, former West Indies
The
captain.
big
Played
guns.
a T20 match against Darren Sammy. And imagine, it's not being boastful. It's just, it was quite rewarding that I got the best bowling figures in the match with international players like Darren Sammy, Johnson Charles, Gary
Wow.
Battery. And it was a very, and I took a picture with Sammy and with Gary Matre, and I said, look here, fellas, when in my lifetime would I ever dream of
Being on
playing
the
a
same
cricket
team.
match? And I got better bowling figures than the two of you. So we have to take a picture together. And we laughed about it. But, that's the fun of living. And outside of the political arena, I make the best of my life. I
I
always enjoy
agree.
life. I always do. But the game came with its own, so all my muscles are sore. I went for a massage yesterday. But as anything else, um, my wife warned me and she told me, you're not exercising,
And you're
you
gonna
have
play
not
cricket.
practiced, you go in and play cricket. And now I went and I said, I'm just going to keep them company. But then when the captain threw the ball to me as the second change bowler, I couldn't say no.
You had to do
So
it.
that was on the lighter side. I want to deal with an issue. I've come under so much scrutiny in St. Lucia over the years from my entry into the political arena. Unlike some people, I've never been accused of being involved in drugs, being a thief, putting heat on people, doing this. I've never been identified with such activities. I've always said the only thing I decided, and I didn't even really decide to come into the political arena. The offer was made. I tried my best not to take the offer until Sir John convinced me by making one statement, which I've said before, which I don't need to rehash.
Right.
And ever since I made that decision, my family has paid the price. People who are close to me, people who are my friends, anybody who've had an affiliation to Guy Joseph has suffered in one way or the other, whether it be their reputation. And that is the nature of the Labour Party. They come after you hook, line, and sinker until they can get the better of you. And I have seen them. They have beaten a lot of people into submission.
Yes, they have.
Um, the Keith Mondazes, the Richard Fredericks, the Stevenson Kings, you name them.
Yes.
It's not by their first choice that they are in Labour Party. It is to avoid the onslaught of the Labour Party. So they say if you cannot beat them, you join them. That is what they have done. Unlike them, that's not my nature. I'm a fighter. I
Yes.
will fight
Fight till
to
the
the end,
end.
and,
Me
and I
too.
will do what I have to do. And that is why tonight, for a few minutes, I will highlight something because last time on your program, I showed you where in the budget, $1 million is set aside for a special prosecutor.
We did.
That is not anything new. I remember Philip J. Pierre in the Parliament said that, oh, there was no investigation and he doesn't know about that. I brought the documents to show he was present at the cabinet meeting when it was done. He went back on Andre Paul's program and he said, I'm challenging anybody to show me that there's an investigation on Guy Joseph or on anything. So I begin tonight that part of the discussion with Cabinet Conclusion 411 of 2012. And I know you have it, so if you want to share the screen with your your audience,
which page you want us to share? Which one?
That would be page 1.
Page
that
1.
would be page 1.
Okay.
If possible, but while you do that, I will just read quickly the contents of that cabinet conclusion.
Okay, no problem.
It says, date 2nd July 2012. The following cabinet conclusion is submitted for your attention. Appointment to conduct forensic investigation. Cabinet confirmed the appointment of Mr. Robert Lindquist for the purpose of conducting a forensic investigation on behalf of the government of St. Lucia. The Attorney General, after consultation with the Prime Minister, will act on behalf of the government in that regard. That is the cabinet conclusion. Now, imagine that was done in July of 2012.
Yes.
The appointment was made, which means that they had 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. 4 years of investigations. And I have been asking for the release of that report ever since. And we cannot see a report. But I wonder, people of St. Lucia, when you go into label accusations about me, I'm just highlighting a few of it. But I have a much bigger document that shows all the pages of all the transactions with Lindquist. That's not the report. That's just receipts and payments. So when we talk about what happens to the money of the people of St. Lucia, let me run through. So let's go to, maybe if we call it Exhibit 2, on what we have there. Approval of a reallocation warrant. And that's number 2. It says, grateful for your approval of the attached reallocation warrant in the amount of $121,209.06. This is to facilitate payment to Lindquist Forensic Accounting Investigation, LLC, for professional services rendered for the period May 1st to May 19th, 2013. So look at how much is paid for investigations from May 1st to May 19th. What? 19 days?
Yes. Period May 1st to 19th,
$121,209.06. Now, the people of St. Lucia, this is not Kenny Anthony's money. This is not Philip J. Pierre's money. This is not Alan Chasney's money.
That's the
These
people
are
of
the
St. Lucia.
taxpayers of the country whose money was taken and paid to Robert Lindquist for investigations. And I will give you a breakdown of the invoice so you understand what on item, I think, is it 3 or is it 4? I think it might be 3 on yours. Professional fees for Mr. Payment to Lindquist Forensic Investigations. And it has the bank that it is to be transferred to. and the professional fees. But the part of it I want to highlight is that most of the payments was made, and the request came from the Cabinet Secretary to the Permanent Secretary, Department of Finance. And here is what it highlights. This represents payment to Linguist Accounting Investigations for provision of professional services for the period July 22nd, 2013 to August 18, 2013. And the amount there for professional fees is $39,527. There's other expenses of $525, and there's the bank to which these funds are to be transferred. So, people of St. Lucia, I want you to pay attention, and let's go to 5 so you understand better the point I am making. Okay. I think it might be 5.
Page 5?
On yours. Yes.
Okay, let's go to page 5. Okay.
It's from Kim St. Rose, Attorney General's Chambers, National Insurance Corporation Building, Castries. And it says, for professional services rendered for the period July 22, 2013 to August 18th. And here's the breakdown of the previous invoice that I showed you. And I hope that you all have seen all the invoices are stamped and certified. So this is not some fake document. And I'm not showing you half of the document as some other talk show host would do. Come and wave papers and show you a little piece of it, but they're not showing you all of it. I am showing you everything that is written there, so you can see for yourself. You can verify that the information being given is authentic information, is reliable information. So it exposes the lies and the deceit of the Labour Party. So look at the breakdown. For professional services rendered, Bob Lindquist, which is the same person as Robert Lindquist, 81.5 hours at $485 per hour. Now that is not 485 EC dollars. That is 485 US dollars per hour, which is equivalent to $1,317.69 in EC dollars at an exchange rate of 2.7169. So if you use that exchange rate, the government of St. Lucia, the government of the St. Lucia Labour Party, was paying Robert Lindquist $1,317.69 per hour.
Whoa.
To investigate Guy Joseph. And I have all the records of my phone calls. They recorded every phone call that I made, every email that I sent, everything. And I can, how many seconds the calls last, how many minutes they lasted, who I called, when I called them. You still didn't come up with anything. You're not satisfied. After you paid all of that money, you're still not satisfied that there's nothing. Now, if you look at the documentation, and I'm running through the documentation so that there is an appreciation for what we have there. Because Robert Lindquist was not the only one paid. Now, I came across a very interesting one, that is page number 5. If you can share it on your screen again.
Yes.
Because it's a memorandum from the Office of the Prime Minister, from the Permanent Secretary to the Accountant General. Attention, Mr. Benson Emil, 7th April 2014. Subject, outstanding commitments. Grateful if funds approved for the recurrent expenditure list below be placed in a special sundry account to facilitate the payment of outstanding commitments pertaining to the financial year 2013-2014. Now, I cannot verify that all of this is in relation to Robert Lindquist, but all of it came on the same document, so I'm going to run through it. Hosting and entertainment, the Cole Pot Restaurant, $195.48. Travel and subsistence, Bank of St. Lucia, $53.06. Utilities, St. Lucia Electricity Services, $7,349.19. Telephone, I guess for Lime, $1,108.66. Operating and maintenance, GBTS, Morton Enterprises, $2,233. And then you have professional and consultancy services, Lindquist Forensic Accounting, $99,878.33. Then you have Office of General Expenses, and let me not call the names of the other, $1,247.66. Utilities, St. Lucia Electricity Services, $6,115.89. And the back page has FDL Pest Control, you have Beats Limited, and Number One Service Station. And it has a total of $2,721. Like I said, I cannot verify whether all of this is linked to Robert Lindquist, but what I can say is it is evident that in the approval that was sought, that Robert Lindquist is on there for $99,878.33. So now, if that was all that was paid to Robert Lindquist, then I don't know that we ever would get to the bottom of how much money was spent on Robert Lindquist, because his fees came to a certain amount. But here's an interesting one that I found. Number 6 on yours. Okay, travel expenses for Bob Lindquist, St. Lucia, October 17 to 26, 2012. Airfare per invoice. US airfare, and all of that is quoted in US dollars, as you can see for yourself. Yes. $891.20. American Airlines, $962.10. Miami Hotel to and from St. Lucia, $300.56. Meals at $60 per day in St. Lucia, $480. Other meals, so I guess none, there's a zero under there, or NC, and then the total expense, $2,633.86. Yes. Apart from all the fees that were paid to Robert Lindquist, and I will show you other invoices, where even where he parked his car at the airport in the US was paid for by the taxpayers of this country. And you know what? Up to now, we cannot see that report. That's the worst part of it. That all of this money was paid, and we have nothing to show for it. And for the people of St. Lucia who want to talk about wastage, who want to talk about what Alan Chasney did and what Guy Joseph did, and these investigations, and if you go through the phone records that are there are phone records of Guy Joseph, Alan Chasney, Sean Matthews, Antonio Asenza. These are the primary targets that they had on their list of persons they were trying to find out what was happening. So here you have it. US airfare, hotel, accommodation. A man lives in the US, he's coming to St. Lucia. The government of St. Lucia must pay for everything. After you paying him $1,317 an hour to work for you, you have to pay his hotel, you have to pay where he parked his car. You have every dime that was spent by the people of St. Lucia, and we still don't have a report to show for it. I believe that the Labour Party, and I will come to that when people think that guy was controlling UWP, if I was controlling UWP, these things would not pass like this. You can rest assured. And I will show you what happened. So, again, I move to the next one. From Kim St. Rose again, Attorney General Chamber.
Which
for
number you on?
professional services
Which
rendered
number you
for the
on
month
now?
of December 2012. That's number 7.
Okay.
And your producer is doing a very, very good job
Thank you.
putting up the information.
Yes, he is.
That's what I want to bring. For professional services rendered for the month of December 2012. So you'd see Bob Linguist, 63 hours at 485 US per hour, which is 30,555 US for 63 hours of work.
This is crazy.
But here's the best part. Now, there's a name there. I don't know that it's pronounced Jesus or Jesus. I'm not sure. Jesus, but I will use the surname Pena. So, apart from paying Bob Linguist, look at what the other gentleman was being paid. 29 hours, 29.75 hours. So imagine even a fraction of an hour they calculated for us to pay for. 295 US per hour. Now, I'm not sure I did the conversion for the 295. I may have the 295. Yes, that's $801.48 per hour. So think of these two men working for you 1 hour. It was costing the government of St. Lucia more than $2,000 per hour for these two men. Because if you add 1,317 and $801.48, 8 and 3 is 11. So that's already $2,000 plus dollars for them.
And we have, and let me just button here, and we have gas attendants going home with $600 a month, and this man is making all this money. More to come. Go ahead, sir.
More to come, yes, and expenses as listed. So apart from paying him and his assistant $39,331 US dollars, there is expense as listed of 1,616. I am not sure. I did not get what the breakdown. No, the breakdown is on the back page. I think it's on page 8. Do you have page 8? If you have it, put it up so people can see.
Okay, we'll check it out. Page 8. The
expenses. So you hire a man to do a job for you. You pay him all of that money per hour. But look at the things we had to pay for him again. You see, for software, 199 US. So not even the paper he was going or whatever software he was using was being paid for by him.
Oh, this is crazy.
The $1,000+ per hour was what was going straight into his pocket. All the other and look at the breakdown of the expenses. People of St. Lucia, I know why the Labour Party has been at me the way that they have been. These are the reasons, because these are the things that I know, and these are the things that I expose, and these are the things that I call them out for. So his airfare, $1,034.10. Airport parking, $34. Hard drives. So apart from paying for the software of $199, you had to pay for the hard drives $250. FedEx fees.
$338.
Miscellaneous, $65.23.
This is madness.
Now I will tell you, You know that while we were in government, we had to threaten to take this man to court to release a document. And I see no hard drive. What he sent was a thumb drive he sent to the cabinet secretary and a box of paper that weighed 70 pounds, which we had to pay to get to St. Lucia. But that is what Kenny Anthony and Philip J. Pierre and the Labour Party did to go after Guy Joseph. And the saddest part for them is they came out empty-handed, because you know what Robert Lindquist tell them? You have to investigate more. 4 years you investigating a man, you can't get nothing. You want more work for yourself. So you're telling them they have other things you have to investigate. If after 4 years you cannot find one thing on Guy Joseph, how many years do you need to find something on?
But this
if
is
I
crazy.
did so much in government as they claim.
But
So you understand what is happening?
Yeah, I understand what is happening, and I am very happy that you are here tonight explaining this. And the reason why I'm happy is because Philip J. Pierre has put aside $1 million US, he said, for his special prosecutor to go after who? Because I listened to him attentively. He said anybody in the civil service who aided and abetted the Alan Shastney-led government into corruption, he's going to come for them. So, you know, St. Lucians need to start thinking critically. You have investigated a man from 2012, 2016, almost 4 years, and you have gotten nothing on him. And we have the same St. Lucia Labour Party in government right now coming with the same crap, saying they want to investigate all Guy Joseph, Alan Shastney. And it is so foolish that they
remember how many times?
Go ahead.
Remember how many times they said U.S. Marshals was there waiting for Richard Frederick? As soon as the elections was over, they would come and pick him up.
Yes.
Now they are the ones begging for a visa for him. U.S. Marshals don't want him again.
Exactly, the corruption is too much. So right now, they have no plans. They are clueless. So what they are doing, they are threatening the people of St. Lucia by saying, oh, we come in for all of them who did corruption and they have to go to jail. People of St. Lucia, I am telling you to ask Philip J. Pierre to take that $1 million he set aside for the prosecutor and put it towards the average St. Lucia that needs assistance. Go ahead, Mr. Joseph.
You know why that money is set aside? That's to pay some of, and you'll see who the prosecutor is. I will not be surprised that that prosecutor will be Astefan.
As my fan.
Because they have to pay them for what they have done for them in the elections.
Oh, yes.
And I ain't afraid of these fellas, you know. I have confronted Astefan because when my case was in court, he was the lawyer. He was the lawyer against me in the boundaries case. So he and Peter Foster. So I ain't afraid of any of them.
But your boundaries case, what they wanted you to have the side. They were dividing that place so badly that you would not have ended up with people like me, right? They would have given people like me to Castry South, and then you would lose all of us who supported you.
Yep.
The dirtiness is real.
So I wonder people of, and that's why I said tonight, so our people need to read for themselves.
They don't read.
You cannot allow a set of people to be lying to you. And I am telling them, I have no parliamentary privilege on your program. If anything I am saying there is not true, then they can take me to court for what I'm saying there. I have no protection.
They should.
Unlike them who go and tell all kinds of lies, like Richard Frederick,
lies and
using
deceit.
the parliament to tell lies, Philip J. Pierre and all of them, telling lies in the parliament. I don't have to tell lies in the parliament when I was there. I don't have to tell lies on your program.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, there's so much truth to say, to reveal, that you don't have time for lies. There's more truth than we have time to reveal. So I'm just highlighting a few things tonight, because that report is a very big report and you know what happened? You know, as soon as we got into government and we started speaking about that, somebody went into the smart stream at the Treasury Department, and they removed all of the things. And I know who did it. I choose not to mention the name on the program because it's only a senior person in the department who could have tampered with the information for it. But by then I had received all my copies of all of the receipts and everything that was paid. So when they realized that I came out in Parliament and I showed it, then they went back and they put it back on the system.
No way, no way.
Oh,
Mr.
yes.
Joseph, are you sure they went into Smart Stream? Because I know what is Smart Stream.
I am
They went into
100%
their...
sure that there was a period of time that these documents was not visible.
Mr. Joseph, you can only remove things from Smart Stream if you're at a certain level because it has to go through certain channels. So,
but that's what I tell you.
This is crazy.
It was a top person in there who did it.
Ah, no way. No way.
You see, that's why I tell them. You see, with me, when I come out and I speak about something, I have my evidence to back up what I'm saying. And I was saying, today I was telling a fella, Guamundi laupa me kakudo pave pulapli. When you don't have cocoa out in the sun, you don't worry about the rain. You don't look out for the rain. So I know I have no cocoa out in the sun, so I am looking for rain.
No way.
I know what to do.
Mr. Joseph, no way. Mr. Joseph, I think this is why they are threatened when they hear the name Guy Joseph. Because if we had, Mr. Joseph, now I'm saying that seriously, if we had at least 5 politicians like you in St. Lucia, our country would have been better. Because what I like about you, you come out and you defend with your documentation.
Yeah, because I will never come out and tell a lie about somebody. If I am given wrong information and I use it and I get to know it's wrong information, I come back and I apologize afterwards. Right. I will not deliberately come out and make up stories about people. That's not my style. I don't need to do that. If that's what I have to do to be in politics, I'd rather not be in politics. And so I want the people of St. Lucia to understand.
But Mr. Joseph, before you carry on, Mr. Joseph, hold on. Before you carry on, I'm a little dizzy head here. So whoever, you said you know who did that, but no actions was taken against this person?
Let me tell you something, Soso. On 3 occasions, I attempted to go to the Treasury Department as the minister and introduce myself because I said apparently the people there did not know me. The then PS of Finance, I would never go to a department that is headed by a PS without calling the PS and informing them. I had 3 incidents that necessitated me going to the department. And on all 3 occasions, the PS persuaded me. She didn't convince me. She persuaded me not to go and that she would handle the matter.
No way.
On one of the occasions, my driver had gone there. We were supposed to travel on government business, and they were supposed to give a check for travel arrangements. The person in the treasury made a comment. The driver got there. They had the driver waiting for almost an hour. And then the person made a comment that if Guy Joseph thinks he gets that check to travel, he better think again.
No way. No way.
I got a phone call and I got the information. So I called the driver and I said to the driver, come back. And then I called the PS and I tell the PS, apparently the person not sure who Guy Joseph is, so I will go down there and introduce myself. And the then PS of Finance begged me, please don't go, allow me to deal with the matter.
No, oh my
The
goodness.
driver made free trips. So think of the few, and the check is there, you know. The check is prepaid. Mischief. Now, that is not influenced by any government minister or anybody, you know. Whether it was Labour or Flambeau in office, is not anybody that caused them to do that. But some people take it on their own. Now, I will say something here. When people are standing on the line in Treasury for hours, waiting for their business to be done, there's a particular fella in Treasury who all over town selling cake. He sells cakes, and then he's getting paid, and he sells cakes during working hours, and everybody knows that. Now, these are the nonsense that people like me, I don't tolerate.
I agree.
And I said, so the driver, free trips. Who's buying the fuel? I'm not the one buying the fuel. The government is buying the fuel. But that is not right. You know, I ended up traveling without the check. I said to the driver, don't bother. Leave the check there for them. When they're ready to send it, they will send it. Because I have money in my pocket, I can travel. And the money that I traveled with was my money, not government money. But they had to refund me.
Yes,
but
obviously.
that is what you encounter. And that is why I tell them, you see the precedent that I set for myself? I cannot ask any public servant to do a bubble for me. Because I call them out on what they do. So at the end of the day, like they say, when it comes to them, I cannot go on, because how can I ask you to do something crooked for me?
Exactly.
And tomorrow when you do it for yourself, I can criticize you. I cannot. So that is why I don't go down that path. You know, one day, another time, I got to my office. I went to my office on a Sunday to do some work. And then when I came in there, I saw a big flowering plant in my office. And when I left the Friday, it wasn't
I don't want
there.
to laugh
So I
enough,
called
but-
my secretary.
Oh my God.
I called my secretary and I said, I saw a plant in the office. Did you put the plant in the office? She told me, no, she didn't put the plant in the office. So I said, so other people have access to the office then? She said to me, well, apparently because she was not there. So I made inquiries and to find out what transpired and who put the plant there. Because I don't know if they put a bug, I don't know what the plant is for, I don't know what is happening. My secretary was not there, so I called the PS again, person in charge of the building, I made inquiries. You know what the remarks was? So they said they put the plant there, but the person can only come to water the plant on weekends.
What?
I said, so the minister's office has to be open, all confidential documents
Are in
and
there.
everything just on the desk, and somebody comes to the building to water a plant totally unsupervised. So
No way.
the person's remarks was, who the minister think that he is, that they have to make special accommodation for him, as if to come and water my plant in my office on a regular work day when there are people. So I called the PS and I said, PS, whoever put the plant there, tell them come and take it.
Oh.
And go with it. And on that occasion, I went upstairs and I went to the person who said what they said. But by then, the PS had intervened and said, you know, the lady came and she apologized for what she said. And she said that's not what she meant and whatever. I said, lady, take your plant and go with it. If the person, but you see, now these are, and people will tell you, oh, but what's the big deal? If anything goes missing in my office, who do I hold accountable? My secretary, and other people have access to come to the office when she's not there. Do I know what they're going to put in the office? What they're likely to do? So these are the things. Now, when you come out and you speak that way, people think, I always told them, I know I was temporary and they were permanent. But if I'm in charge, I'm in charge. I cannot be in charge and I'm not in charge. Somebody else is doing what they want. I don't cross boundaries with people. Everybody do their work. But if I ask that my office, when you come, I don't have to be there. But you mean to water a plant? My secretary or myself cannot take a glass of water from the pipe and pour it around the plant. You have to be able to come there on weekends when there's nobody in the office. So whoever is watering these plants have access to every office, because they put in my office, they put in the permanent secretary's office, they put wherever they wanted. But these are the kind of networks that run in government. And when you come out and you speak about these things, people think, oh, you think is you that's the boss. No, there are ways to do everything. So going back to where we were on that, here's, I got for the services to be rendered, professional services rendered on behalf of the council for the month of December 2012. I think you have that on page 9.
Page 9, okay.
With Mr. Pena managing the technical aspect, the bank data for various accounts obtained by Mr. Matre during the course of his work was downloaded for study. So I don't know what these accounts were, but I've always told them, if you investigate Guy Joseph so much, if you want to find out what accounts I have, I could just tell you, you know, they never came to me.
And
they
you have
never
always
asked
said
me.
that. That's one thing you have always said. If you want to know my bank account, where I have my money, just come to me. You have always said that.
But so we do integrity commission report every year, and we have to state all of our accounts and the balance is on the account. Right. And if there's any information we give that is false, we can be fined. So why, I mean, to say, okay, you paying a forensic auditor to come and look at accounts, what I assume is not my account. To the input of, you have page 9? To the input of financial and other data into the chronologies and legal documents from the work of Mr. Matre. With Mr. Pina managing the technical aspect, all new research work obtained by him was downloaded for study. To study of the research work, a process identifying the appropriate subjects that are relevant to organizing such finds by subject matter and inputting such information into the applicable chronology and creating new chronologies to identify to the identification of other items for future research work, to start update of a legal document for council's consideration, to discuss with council to arrange for the arrival of Mr. Pena and to start additional research work, to discuss with council in regard to work plan and access to other relevant documents. These are the things we were paying over $2,000 an hour between the two researchers.
Researching what?
And you know the report they sent there? One senior person in government looked at the document and you know what they said? You could take any Form 5 student and ask them to put that together and they would put a better thing together. What we were paying Mr. Robert Lindquist and his associates in excess of 2,000 EC dollars per hour to work for. So think of them working for 8 hours for the day. After we pay for where his car is parked in New York, in Miami, we pay for his hotel, we pay for his food. You know, there are some, and let's go to 10, so the people of St. Lucia can see for themselves. When they talk about friends, family, and foreigners, that is where friends, family, and foreigners come from. The Labour Party, not the United Workers' Party. Look at this one from Kim Sandros, again, Attorney General, for professional services rendered for the month of February 2013. Bob Lindquist, 48 hours, $485 US per hour, 23,280 US dollars
Jesus.
for 48 hours of work.
Whoa.
Now, hear that. Travel expense to St. Lucia, February 9th to 13th. USFA, $578.60. American Airlines, $983.10. All of that is in US. Hotel in St. Lucia, $1,441.18. 2 hotels in Miami, $385.68. Taxi, $70. So, if we paying for your vehicle to be parked at the airport, why you still need a taxi?
Exactly. Exactly.
So what these invoices padded so that as much money. So altogether, so you have the taxi of 70 US, as you can see there.
Yes.
So if you have the grand total, $26,738.
Yes.
Certified correct and signed. Can you just bring it up a little?
Bring it up a little. Yes, we'll bring it up a little.
Yes, so they can see certified correct. I would assume that this is Kim Sandros' signature. I don't know. Office of the Prime Minister, entered on SmartStream by the officer, and the information is there. So, people of St. Lucia, I didn't make up stories to come and tell you all. This is what the Labour Party did to investigate Guy Joseph. If we go to page 11, let's see what they did there. Page 11. Professional services rendered on behalf of council for the period May 1st to May 19, 2013, to finish preparations for certain persons for trip to St. Lucia in the week of May 4th and include interview questions with supporting documents while in St. Lucia. Attend at Office of Accounts Department to review travel and phone record vouchers for payments for the year 2007 to 2011, inclusive of, and to give instructions to copy documents. And the same documents they copied, so I got my own copy of it.
Wow.
I tell them already, it's not they alone that have access to information.
Exactly.
I have access to information. So all the documents, all the phone records that they are talking about there. So I can just highlight for you. On page 7, Joseph to Asenza, 13/8/2009 at 8:34 a.m. The number dialed 195-421-46929, Florida, out. 4 minutes, 21 seconds. They have calls of 14 seconds, 3 seconds, 1 minute and 1 second, 10 seconds. Every single phone call that Guy Joseph made, you paid over $1,000, $2,000 per hour to investigate. Calls of Guy Joseph and Alan Chasney, and you have nothing to show for it today.
And we give them
I'm coming
over
to this.
$100 and something $1,000.
So let's run through the rest. Attend at the office of the Director of Finance to discuss on various subjects. Attend at Tourism Office to review travel and phone record payment vouchers for the years 2007 to 2011 and to give instructions to copy. So at the Tourism Office was Alan Chasney. You see what was happening there? So this thing about Guy Joseph and Alan Chasney did not start with Alan Chasney becoming leader of the United Workers' Party. You know. That started from way back when Sir John and Stevenson King were the prime ministers of the UWP government. So if we were corrupt then, who enabled the corruption? Not Stevenson King.
That's right.
Who was prime minister?
That's right.
Attend at SLASPA to conduct interviews and to request further documents, then preparation of draft interview notes to review by interviews. Attend at St. Lucia Invest to meet with counsel for discussion and review of documents. Receipt of documents from earlier requests and input of information into the appropriate chronology and document brief. Preparation of a census timeline of involvement in St. Lucia. Discussion with counsel. Preparation of list of requests and to do with cases planning. Finish major review of batch number 3 of research work and specific word searches to identify and save relevant findings, and thereafter input into the roads chronology, now 90 pages. So where is that 90 pages that they have?
Yes, where
they
is the
think
90
I don't
pages?
have it. I have it here, so. I have the 90 pages of the road chronology that they are hiding. You see, when you out to do mischief as a government, that is what happens to you. So they knew that the report would have cleared my name. They found nothing on me. This report has more about Stevenson King than it has about Guy Joseph. So you know what they did? They never released the report. They allowed Lindquist to get away, and they said the report was never completed. And you know, in the terms of the agreement with him, that the documents are his. And if he does not want to give the documents to St. Lucia, he does not have to.
But
so
how
after
come?
you
How
pay
come?
him
All that money.
After you pay him over $3 million plus all these expenses. But the best part of it is coming. Let me show you. On page 12, it says,
page 12,
to conduct the various internet research work on another person of interest. Email exchanges of draft interviews, notes and interviews and their finalization. Return to batch 3 of research work with specific word searches to identify and to save relevant findings, and therefore input into the RCCL DECCO chronology, now 117 pages. Start input of new telephone information for 2 months for an interested party. Add new documents to the brief of documents in relation to the Taiwan funding chronology and Choiseul and other constituencies chronology. So there was a lot of mischief being done by the Labour Party. And that is why you see a lot of people who should have been loyal UWP supporters defected to supporting the Labour Party because of the information the Labour Party has on them. They know that.
No way. Wait. What you're saying?
In other words,
okay. I get you. Oh my. I get you. I get you. I get you.
Into supporting the Labour Party.
Yeah, I got you. The blackmail part, I got you. Yeah, because how can you know something is so wrong and now you are for it? I get you. So people of St. Lucia, what Soso want to tell y'all is to open your eyes, not for Flobber or for Labour. Open your eyes for your country, because we cannot allow this nastiness to continue in our country and wasting our money. You have investigated a man for 4 years. He is out of office now, and you still want to have a special prosecutor to do what? To give us, my fan, money? Carry on, Mr. Joseph.
So I go to page 13, which is
Page
the
13.
last page I will deal with
Okay.
on this. For now.
Okay.
At a future time,
Yes.
I want them to challenge the information that I have put out
Okay.
on your show tonight.
Good.
Now, here's the most
13.
interesting part. The agreement. Here under what law that we can challenge him. And that is why linguists gave us so much trouble. If you go to number 19, and you can just, I wouldn't read the whole thing, just scroll. It says, this agreement shall be governed and interpreted by the laws of the state of Virginia, and the parties expressly agree that any dispute arising out of or relating to this agreement or its performance shall be resolved in the state of Virginia. This paragraph shall survive termination of the agreement. And you telling me an Attorney General of St. Lucia signed an agreement like that on behalf of the government and the people of St. Lucia? Look the signature there, Kim St. Rose, former Attorney General. You sign an agreement, and look, you hire a man to work for you. You paying him thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, and he is dictating the terms and conditions. And hey, this agreement shall be governed and interpreted by the laws of the state of Virginia. What do we know about the laws of Virginia? What does our Attorney General know about the laws of Virginia? The man is working in St. Lucia for the government of St. Lucia, but he causes them, and look at it, and the parties expressly agree that any dispute arising out or relating to this agreement or its performance shall be resolved in the state of Virginia. So you know, if you had any problems, you have to pay a whole team to go up to Virginia to go to court.
And imagine an attorney general signing that bullshit. Really?
But look at the best part of it. The last line. This paragraph shall survive terminate. So even after you terminate this agreement,
it's surviving.
This still survives. That part of it still survives. Our Attorney General had a lot of problems getting any cooperation
from this man.
linguists.
Yes.
We had to use our offices in the US to get the thumb drive that we did from him.
No way.
So you tell me I have to have respect and regard for people like Kim St. Rose to come and advise government on what to do? Because so you know why I highlighted this? Because when investors come to St. Lucia, where they spend their own money, not somebody else's money, their own money, and they request that you have neutral ground on which to resolve disputes. So they may say, okay, if I am an investor from the UK and on the British law, we would want that if a matter is in dispute, we feel that it is better to be resolved under the British system of law. Even that, you remember how much criticism the Alan Chasney government came under for certain agreements where it was not our money being spent, it was the investor coming and spend the money, and they wanted some form of security or neutral jurisdiction in the court of law, and so even that the Labour Party criticizes us for. But you paying Robert Lindquist over $3 million of our tax money, and he dictates to you that he wants this to be governed by the laws of Virginia, and you agree to that? Do they know the laws in the South?
Mr. Joseph, now I understand clearly. Now I understand clearly why the St. Lucia Labour Party did everything they could while you were in office to ensure that people listen to their garbage and to vote you out. But Mr. Joseph, this is frightening. And let me tell you why it is frightening. It is frightening because we now have these people ruling our country. Labor cannot govern, and putting all those layers over our eyes, well, not over my eyes, I see right through them, talking about special prosecutor. What they are doing, they are playing on the psyche of St. Lucians, letting them believe, okay, Guy Joseph is a volet, Alan Shasta is a volley. All of them put monies in their pocket, so we are here to investigate them, even investigate civil servants who maybe had interactions with you all. But the people of St. Lucia need to get wise and realize that this government is bluffing them. Because what I'm saying, we have a DPP. Are we paying this guy 20,000 plus a month to do nothing? What the hell are we doing with a special prosecutor when we have the green man there? What are we doing, right? Why don't you bring the evidence, or he create his team and investigate? Because this government doesn't know what they're doing. Labor, passa govern.
Let me tell you, Labor knows that they ain't coming up with nothing with the special prosecutor, but they will pay. They paid $3 million, they didn't come up with nothing from Robert Lindquist. So they go in and pay another $1 million US, or how much it is, for what? And that's, remember, for the first year. So if it rolls into the second year and the third year, because the budget amount is not rolled over, that's just for the first year.
Yeah,
so if they spend 4 years, that's $4 million. So
yes.
you know what is sad for me, that you sit back and you look at your life. You look at the contribution you have made. You look at how hard you have worked. And I have said to everybody in St. Lucia, there's no other politician who has lived before me who can stand the level of scrutiny that Guy Joseph has stood in this country.
Well said.
You brought in one of the biggest fraud investigators in the world,
Lindquist,
to investigate Guy Joseph.
Forensic accounting.
And you did not come up with anything. And you know, it is sad that you still walk the streets and people still see you as a thief. People still label you all kinds of ways. That's the nature of what the Labour Party does to people.
Yeah.
You remember what they did to Von Lewis with Tujusu and whatever. Look at what they did to Richard Frederick. Look at what they did to Mondesi. And look at all of these people, like beggars at their feet. Now, I've always told them, I will go down fighting. I have never, you see, there's nothing in government that tempts me to make a bubble. Everybody who work with me know I complain that things are too expensive. When they give me the price for something, I tell them, you all need to give me a better price than that. That's what I would tell them. I negotiate for government better than I negotiate for my own self, because it's my money. I spend my money how I want. I do not spend the people's money how I want. I look after the best interest. And the evidence of the work that I have done in the country is testament to it. Let's look at St. Jude. They spent they were going to spend $187 million to repair a hospital. I was in the process of completing the building of a brand new hospital, bigger than OKEU, for less money than that, but you accuse me of making bubble. I mean, so if I made bubble for a new building that is bigger than what you are building, and you are not building and you are repairing, and yours was costing more. So if I made bubble, what did you make? Is there a word that they have invented to describe what y'all did when y'all were in government? Because the evidence is there. And I'm saying to people, everybody telling me, you should go and protest about, for me alone, the people voted for them. If they want to put them in the old St. Jude and let it fall on them, that's for the people to speak.
That's
I
right.
am making my voice heard. So.
Amen.
Everybody want to tell you, go and protest, go
No,
and demonstrate.
no.
Protest and demonstration has its place. But you should know when you elected Philip J. Pierre to be
That is what you're
Prime
going to get.
Minister that you are going to get substandard
That's
representation.
right. That's right. Look
And
at his
substandard
constituency.
people cannot do world-class things.
No, they can't.
Only world-class people can give you world-class healthcare. So I was just watching and I heard it, the chat. When Ralph Gonzalez's head got busted in St. Vincent, where did he go to see the doctor?
Barbados.
Barbados. He's sick again. Where is he? In Venezuela. So you
Why not stay
govern
in
a
St.
country.
Vincent? Why not stay in St.
St.
Vincent?
Vincent, you govern a country. You call yourself a 5-star general. After 25 years of being prime minister, you cannot even go to your own health institution for a basic doctor's checkup. And you tell me you have achieved and you have accomplished and achieved what?
Now, Mr. Joseph, you are right up my alley. So right now, they said you will put in horses before people. But right now, they are putting houses before St. Jude's Hospital. Did you see the monstrosity that they want to build in Castries Southeast? I need your take on this.
I will come to that as I shift to the housing aspect. But I just want the people of St. Lucia, and you see the doctors in this country, we have a lot of very good doctors in this country. But this fraternity has become too much a money-making industry.
It has.
The US is beginning to realize that.
Yes.
Because a lot of people are going outside of the US for the healthcare.
Like India.
Because it is cheaper. India is on the cutting edge of medicine and healthcare in the world today. And I can tell you, I have experienced it firsthand.
Yes, I remember you went there. Yes.
You know, I've heard something, I cannot verify it yet. I heard that the consultants that we had brought down to work in St. Lucia with helping us to set up the proper healthcare is now working for the private hospital also. I don't know if that's true. But if that is true, I would be very alarmed because these are the same people. So I went to a meeting, not a meeting, a dinner meeting with representatives from Lamina Hospital, representatives from Cayman Health City, representatives from Tapion Hospital. The Prime Minister was there, myself, the Minister of Health. And when they asked the Cayman Health City people to quote their prices, like for knee replacements, hip replacements, major surgeries and things, when they gave their prices, the gentleman who was from Lamina, he touched me on the shoulder and he said, "That is impossible. Nobody can do that for that price." They could not believe that the Cayman Health City people, but they are doing it for the price. They're not coming and quote you a price that they invent, you know. That is what they are doing already. So here's what was happening with St. Jude. And I will say it again for the benefit of the people of St. Lucia. We were targeting 3 areas of specialization at St. Jude. And that is why we said that the other buildings that were there, whatever part of it that could be used, would be used. And people were asking, but why you all build that big hospital? We were looking at some cancer treatment, some major or some areas of heart, attention to the cardiology. And we had not decided on the third area because we were looking at the areas of greatest need in St. Lucia. And so what we were going to get at St. Jude is what St. Jude was when the Sisters of Mercy used to, we had all these specialists who always used to come down to St. Lucia. And when you needed to see a specialist, it was easier to find a specialist at St. Jude Hospital than you would at VH. And so some of the doctors I know in St. Lucia feel threatened. And when I say these things, when people come with specialties, they get a lot of fight down to get a license from the Medical and Dental
And we the
Association
people are the ones suffering. We the
to
people.
practice in St. Lucia.
Jeez.
Because nobody wants competition. There's a gentleman from Matnik. He's a neurosurgeon by profession. He was retired in Matnik. He was coming down to St. Lucia. And he had offered free service to people of St. Lucia. Just to keep himself engaged and active, he would come. I got all his documents, sent it to the Alliance Française for translation, to put it in the English. The gentleman got so much trouble. He told me, I'm too old for this. He just forgot about it.
No.
And he gave up.
People are the ones suffering.
The people of St. Lucia are suffering. But you see some people, like I see people going out and begging everybody for health care.
On the streets.
Look, on this book, the UWP Manifesto for 2021, the 5 for 5, medical care for all. You had the introduction of unemployment benefits, monthly assistance for the needy. Parents would save money on school books, VAT reduction, and medical care. Everybody who voted for the Labour Party or who did not vote on election day voted against these things. They voted against themselves to put the Labour Party in office. And what did the press secretary to the Prime Minister say? Go and get COVID. I'm paraphrasing. If you all don't follow Philip J. Pierre. If Philip J. Pierre gets sick, he knows where to go and see his doctor. He can afford to go and get medical care outside of St. Lucia. If it was Alan Chasney if it was a press secretary for Alan Chasney who said that about Alan Chasney, what would we say? And I wanted to say that so. We talk about, we want to make it appear as if it's a crime to be born with a golden spoon. I wish every child in St. Lucia would one day be able to be born into a home where they are born with a golden spoon.
Yeah.
So to try and label Alan Chasney because his parents work hard and they achieved, that all of a sudden he is unfit. So I want to ask the people who are well off in this country, who support the Labour Party in this nonsense, the business people. So your children are born with a golden spoon, so they should not partake of anything in St. Lucia. Because apparently, so it means that the Labour Party's agenda is to keep people poor.
In poverty.
So you can never be born with a golden spoon. So you tell me people like Philip J. Pierre and Kenny Anthony and all of them, so their children are not born more well off than the average St. Lucian? So does that mean that their children will never be able to serve this country in a high capacity because they are born into a privileged family? I mean, this nonsense that we are advancing. But so let's go to the housing thing.
Yes.
Because talking about these people are a complete waste of time.
Yes.
Now, Richard Frederick stopped the housing project at the shock development and the Talvan. It is interesting that the same thing had happened by the Labour Party. With the Rivadori development. Now, I cannot deal with the two together, so I will deal only with shock tonight. Right. Because Rivadori has so much to it. I have all the documents for the court cases that was filed. I have how much money that the contractor claimed. And if they had settled him at the time, we would not have had to pay half the money. It ended up land that was owned by the government of St. Lucia. To keep the land, we had to end up paying $6 million for land that was ours to keep it, because the Labour Party government under Stanley Felix, and when these fellas talk, you see, you hear them talk and you think they are the brightest things around. But they are so dim and so dull that you don't even recognize them when you see them. They went into a deal with NHCBO and transferred the land that was owned by St. Lucia to a company, NHCBO, and gave them 51% shares, which is illegal because you could not be the majority shareholder without an alien landholding license. All of these things they did. Nobody. When I came in, and you know the sad thing for me, sometimes I tease my former Prime Minister, Alan Shasney, and I say to him, man, you gave me all the mess for me to clean up. St. Jude, a disaster. Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Project was a complete mess. We had to go and overhaul everything. We were losing the money, right to the World Bank, ask for extension, do all kinds of things in order to save these projects and to get them going. Then the housing project, Rivadori, was started by Richard Frederick under UWP, stopped by the Labour Party when they came into office. I had to go there, clean the mess, do whatever. The lands at the back of St. Jude, that land, Richard again started a housing project there, ended up in court with a Shitoli who had claim on the land. Just prior to the elections, we won that case. And we were ready to restart that development at the back of St. Jude. So if you go up the Larry Schuss Road, before you get to the junction of Windward and Leeward Brewery, you'd make a right turn. Yes, a right turn. And to the back there, C.O. Williams was the one doing that housing project. Roads had been cut and everything. All of that had transpired. Then we had the lands at Bois d'Orange. The Bois d'Orange lands. They went and they put in all the infrastructure development and everything there without having title to the land. Because when the LRTP was done, that's the land registration title project was done. Apparently the owners had not claimed for the land, so the land went on the crown. Before the Labour Party had proceeded with the development, they were supposed to verify that there were no owners. So after they went and put in all the roads and everything in there, water, electricity, the owners came with the claim for the land. It took us almost the whole 5 years in government to negotiate and rectify that and to finally get the family to agree to some form of settlement so that we could get that project going. All of that so. I had to clean up the mess created by the Labour Party, by Richard Frederick. Then you had the Talvan lands. They went into a business transaction with a French company, JLDP, and gave them permission to proceed and pre-sell 60% of the project before they touch one stone or one shovel of dirt on the ground. And the part of the land that was already occupied by people who were squatting, who had built their homes there already, all of that was part of the land given to JLDP. We had to come in,
Oh.
renegotiate, cancel the contract with JLDP, wait for the time to expire to see if they would take us to court, and then to get the housing project at Talvan started. And then the Labour Party comes in again and they stop all the projects. So let's go to Shock, and let me show you what transpired at Shock. So I will read a couple excerpts so that you understand better. I didn't send you that document because there's a lot of very confidential things in there.
Okay, no
and I try to be as cautious as possible.
Yeah.
So it says payment of compensation to Shock Estate Limited for compulsory acquisition of block 1050B parcel 807 in the quarter of Castries to facilitate housing development. So here this so. The Department of Physical Planning submits for the consideration and approval of Cabinet a request for payment of compensation to Shock Estate Limited for the acquisition of the block 1050B parcel 807 in the quarter of Castries. The Cabinet of Ministers, by Cabinet Conclusion number 202 of 2003. Now note what year I am saying here, so. 2003. Approved the acquisition of lands registered as 1050B parcel 807 comprising 89.78 acres of land in the quarter of Castries. The subject property was owned by Shock Estates Limited and was acquired to facilitate housing development at the instance of the National Housing Corporation. So in 2003, the Labour Party went and acquired 89.78 acres of land at Shock Estate. The property was declared Crown on July 7th, 2003. So they acquired the land and they made it Crown lands. So you know, as soon as you acquire lands and you make it into Crown lands, the people's bill begin to run because you've not paid them, and it begins to accumulate interest at an average of 6% per annum. So think if the land is worth $2 million and you have 6% on it. And when did we come into government? In 2016. So 13 years later, after you acquired the land, you had done nothing with the land, and the land was accumulating interest. And during that, so if they acquired in 2003, they spent 3 years in government. They did nothing with the land.
Jeez.
Richard Frederick became Minister of Housing under a UWP government between 2006 and 2011. 5 years. He did nothing with the land. That land is there accumulating interest for payments.
Jeez.
Labour comes in 2011 to 2016, does nothing with the land. UWP comes into office in 2016, and before the end of the term, we got a project going, and Labour Party comes in and stops the project again. And watch the people who stop it. Richard Frederick and the Labour Party. The same man that the Labour Party described as the worst housing minister ever in St. Lucia. It's in the manifesto of the St. Lucia Labour Party of 2011. They have now made him what? Is he Minister of Housing?
Yes, Minister of Housing.
So they made the worst Minister of Housing ever in the history of St. Lucia, the Minister of Housing.
Again.
And you want me to take the people of St. Lucia serious when they elect these people into government? I cannot. We get what we deserve. That is what we chose, and that is what we are getting. So here's the best parts of this is yet to come, you know. So the property was declared Crown. So we're in 2022. So it is 19 years since that property was accumulating interest. It would have been 13 years.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
In fact, when that came to us in about 2018, 2019, so it would have been 15 years. So think of 15 years at 6% compound interest per year. How much money Shock Estate is making. But here's the best part. As part of the negotiations for the acquisition of the property, Shock Estate Limited offered to sell the property to the state via private treaty at a rate of $2.05 per square foot, totaling approximately $8.2 million. So you're buying 89.78 acres. They propose that you do it by private treaty rather than by acquisition for $8.2 million. The government, in its urgent desire, hear this so. The government, in its urgent desire to provide housing, informed Shock Estate that the property would be acquired as opposed to private treaty, and consequently made an interim payment in the sum of 3 million Eastern Caribbean dollars that year, 2003. So in 2003, you say it is so urgent, you cannot wait to buy it by private treaty. You're going to do compulsory acquisition. You proceed and you pay him, you pay Shock Estate $3 million as a deposit. And the 3 years run by that you remain in government, you did not remove a pebble or cut a branch at Shock Estate.
Oh my God, what St. Lucians voted for? This is crazy.
And then people, now, not my fault that I'm a worker. Anything you give me to do, I'll get it done. So
This is crazy.
I came in and I decided, you know, the government is spending too much money on these properties. We need to make use of it. So if Richard Frederick was so bright, Labour couldn't do it in 3 years. You spent 5 years as housing minister under UWP government. You and Stephenson King. Stephenson King prime minister, you minister of housing. You could not get anything going at Shock Estate. But now you see some light in the work that was done by Guy Joseph and the UWP government. So you go and stop it to try and claim is you doing it. You can claim. The record is there, and that's why I'm presenting the record to the people of St. Lucia tonight. And I want them to challenge me on one word I am using there that is out of place tonight. So it says in 2003, the Ministry of Physical Development, Environment, Housing assessed the property with an open market value of 3.75 million Eastern Caribbean dollars. So here's what you need to pay attention to, so and your viewers and your listeners.
Yes.
When the Ministry of Physical Development did an assessment of the land, they estimated that the actual value of the land was 3.75 million. Now remember, Shock Estate proposed 8.2 million. The government said, we are going to do compulsory acquisition. So they proceeded, but they paid down 3 million. So it's only 0.75 million if that's the case that was being owed. But let's see what happened that caused the government to pay all the millions of dollars. And you know what I've done? I've saved this country millions and millions of dollars. But you know what? You know, honesty comes at a price. And being honest, I've paid a heavy price for it. But I will still continue to be honest, because I'm not honest just for the sake of the people of St. Lucia.
Right.
If God has blessed me with so many things in my life, how can I be dishonest in the office that he allowed me to occupy and to do things that would mess up?
Exactly.
So the Department of Planning estimated the property to be worth $3.75 million. By letter dated October 20th, 2003, the authorized officer wrote to Shock Estate Limited, offering the sum of $3.75 million as full and final compensation to the acquisition of block and parcel 1050B 807, block parcel 807. The landowners submitted a compensation package in the range of $9,659,717 Eastern Caribbean dollars. So that's $9,679,717. So headers to $10,598,313 dated June 7, 2004 as the relied valuation report of the acquired property. So because they did not take their time to negotiate, you have compulsorily acquired. So you have taken it, it's on your name now. How much leverage do you have to negotiate? Because you have shown the people that you need it more than them. If I have something that I really want to sell, I will come and I will give it at a good price. But if I know you want it more than I want to sell it, what will I do?
Up the price.
I will up the price. So if you cannot even wait to negotiate to purchase it, you're going to do a compulsory acquisition instead. What result do you expect? So the owners of the land put the maximum price. But remember, the department valued the land at 3.75. The owner is claiming 10.598 because, and here's that, during the negotiations, now here's a very nice part. During the negotiations between the authorized officer and the landowner, suitable compensation was determined for the acquisition of the 89.78 acres of land. However, an amicable solution was never reached, and as such, the matter was referred to the Board of Assessment. All because the Labour Party was rushing to have a compulsory acquisition, and yet still they sat on it for 3 years and could do nothing. Now let me tell you, they cannot say it's because of the negotiations they couldn't do anything. Because once it is in the name of the Crown has full right to the property. So they cannot say we were still negotiating. So, what peut c'est tellement pour pointer. You cannot wait to negotiate with the buyer or with the seller. So you went and you do compulsory acquisition. And now but here's it. The NHC took possession of the land in or about 2004, but has done no development or established any infrastructure apart from tracing a road. So now I don't know if they traced the road on paper, you know, as children when you were drawing. Because when I went there, I saw no traces of road on the land. And I've walked that entire property from end to end. So I don't know if it's on paper, but they said all they did was they traced a road. I don't know what that means. So the NHC had the land from 2004, you know. It was transferred to them. So when Richard Frederick became the Minister for Housing in 2006, that property was already under the control of the NHC. He couldn't remove a tree He couldn't remove a boulder from the land. But all of a sudden, you saw how much work Guy Joseph was doing. So all of a sudden, you want to show that you can do better, but you just have to follow in the steps of people who know how to work. I know you know how to do private developments for yourself, but you can't work for the country because you are too self-centered to be able to work for the people of St. Lucia. But people of St. Lucia, that's the government you all elected, and that's the price we are paying. So let's go on. It says the NHC took possession. Cabinet via conclusion 218 of 2013 approved the appointment of a board of assessment to undertake a case management of the acquisition. So in 2004, Labour still in government. By May 2016, the chairman of the board of assessment filed a notice against Shock Estate Limited pursuant to Section 12 of the Land Acquisition Ordinance Act Cap 5.04 for failure of submitting a copy of the proposal for compensation to the chairman of the Board of Assessment. Subsequently, Shock Estate Limited requested for negotiations to be reopened with the authorized officer in an attempt to bring closure to the matter. You see how much things that Shock Estate went to? Sometime in June, that is, sometime in June 2016, the attorneys for, now when was elections? June 6, 2016. So sometime in June 2016, Shock Estate Limited reopened negotiations with the authorized officer and presented a compensation settlement in the range of $9,659,717 to $10,598,330. So that is the range they give. So the lowest it can be is 9,659,717, and maybe the highest 10,589,000 plus interest. That is plus interest over the subscribed period July 2003 to June 2016. So think of that price. Let's take the lower price, just for all. Let's take the 10 million. So 6% of that, for 6% of 10 million would be what? 600,000?
Yes,
I'm not sure.
How much? 6% of 10 million?
Yes, 6% of 10 million.
Yes, 600,000. You're right.
Okay. So for 13 years,
7,800,000.
So after you paying $10 million for the land, you have another 7 million to pay in interest.
Yes.
So the land that was valued by the department at $3.75 million in 2016 is now costing the government of St. Lucia $17 million.
$800,000.
Thanks to Labour Party and Richard Frederick and Stevenson King. These were the people in charge. That was under their portfolio. They were the ones responsible. And y'all were, you know, sometimes
this is
I try to get upset at myself for even wanting to be involved in this thing, because clearly the people of St. Lucia do not appreciate.
No,
let me not say the people. Some people in St. Lucia do not appreciate the good work that is done on their behalf. They like scumbags in government. They like corrupt people in government. So because the Labour Party calls somebody corrupt, the evidence is showing otherwise. For me, that is where the corruption is. How could, now that's not all you know. Let me give you more information to show you how bad what they did was. The authorized officer countered Shock Estate's proposal outlining the following. Now, here's what the officer of the department said. Block and Parcel 1050B, Parcel 807 was undeveloped with a combination of moderate to steep slopes, undaunting topography, and numerous meandering ravines that traverse the property. Sections of the property is unusable for economic development. So you rush and you go and buy 89 acres of land. I don't know if they pass there on a helicopter to look at the land. I don't know how they pass there, what they realize, but all of a sudden now, they now realize that all the land is not usable. Now, that's a report from the Department of Planning, you know. Who was the Minister of Planning? I know when we were in government 2006 to 2011 was Richard Frederick was the minister responsible.
Lord, what a disaster. What a disaster.
So sections of the property is unsuitable for economic development. The authorized officer proposes the following as compensation. A value of $1 per square foot be set for the value of the non-developable lands. So after you've had the people's land for 13 years, you're now telling them that certain sections of the land, because it says in 2016, you're now telling them that some sections of the land cannot be used. So washte jabasak. You get a 6 for a 9. And now you want to come and tell, if I was the owner of the land, what will I tell you? So here's what they said. The remaining lands, that's the part that's developable, is set at a value of $1.80 per square foot. Interest for this negotiation is set at 4.5%, which is outside the provisions of the Land Acquisition Ordinance of 5.04. Essentially, the authorized officer proposed the following compensation. So for the lands that cannot be developed, so you go and buy 89 acres of land, all of a sudden you realize 16 acres of that land
cannot be developed.
Now 16 into it, 16 fives is 80. So that's almost 20% of the land is not usable. And you propose that this work out at $1, which is $696,000. And then the developable lands be at $2,778,000, interest at 4.5%. So interest is another $2.142 million. Projected negotiations. Projected compensation for negotiation, $5,624,000. Now, let me tell you, when this came to us, so remember in 2016, we are the ones in government. So we now have to clear up that mess. So we had to enter into negotiations and come to a settlement. We could return the land to the owner.
Oh my God.
If we because a lot of the land could not be used in truth. Are you still hearing me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. Go ahead.
Yeah. So because the land, part of the land could not be used, we decided, okay, can we return the land? But if we return the land, so remember, you've paid $3 million already. You now have, if you go into, for the period of time we kept the land, they can, if you cannot just say you're going to pay them at 4.5, you would still have to pay them, because if you return the land, it means that all of these 13 years they could have accumulated, they could have sold their property, they could have done other things. So you don't just keep somebody's property for 13 years and afterwards return it to them after compulsory acquisition. So we went into an arrangement and we paid them. So the 3 million that was paid, and I think we paid somewhere in the region. So during the negotiations with the authorized officer and the landowner, a compensation package totaling $5,620,714.64 was agreed upon as final compensation. So under a UWP government, that was the final compensation settlement. So remember, under the Labour Party, they had proposed up to $10 million. Okay? We were able to negotiate. So remember, so that 5 million, that is in addition to the 3 million that was paid. And I'm telling you, I believe that under our government, we came out with the best possible arrangement. And we did not have to come up with all of the money. Part of it was given as bonds and at an interest rate of 6% per annum. The maturity date was June 1st, 2020. So these would, if they did not roll over the bonds, then it would have been paid. So the point I am making to you here, and we paid 1 million in cash at the time. So what I'm saying to you here is, I want the people of St. Lucia and those who have an eye for business and who have an understanding of the business environment, under my watch as Minister of Housing, we saved millions of dollars just in the compensation alone. Now, in the development itself, contrary to all the lies that Richard Frederick said, that the things that both DBS and HTS had to apologize for, saying that we went into a contractual arrangement and there was no provisions, there was no price, and Fresh Start was getting 80% of the money. You see, all the lands they said that was not developable, these are the lands that Fresh Start had to cut mountains, full up the ravines, the valleys, the low area, so that we could make all the land usable. So the 16 acres they said that was not usable, all of that was part of the development. So when you see the pricing of the under development came at a very reasonable price. So the government of St. Lucia would make in the region, would end up with about $23 to $24 million after Fresh Start was paid. Now remember, the government is not spending $1 not to develop the land, not to market, not to sell. All they would be doing is collecting money. And the arrangement on that was, because the developer was putting all of the resources himself, in the first set of lands to be sold, he would be paid 80% of the money and the government would be paid 20%. So let's say, for argument, after you sold, let's say we developed 70 acres of the land. If after you sold 35 acres of the land, the developer was fully paid, the other 35 acres, which would be fully service lots with road, water, sewerage, electricity, all the amenities that were required. Then the rest of the land, as it was being sold, 100% of the money would go to the NHC. So we took a bankrupt institution and we were going to turn around where the institution would have earned at least $23 million. So if you took off the $8 million that the government had paid already and give back to the government its $8 million, then you would have had $15 million net profit by the NHC. You telling me you come into government, Philip J. Pierre. That's why I tell you, these fellas are clueless also about anything pertaining to development. If they want a lesson or two, I grew up poor. They may accuse Alan Chasney of having been born with a golden spoon, but his father worked hard.
Yes.
And he's a hard worker.
Yes.
He's more of a hard worker than all of them put together. So I came up from a poor family, but I was able to work my way. And it's not when I came into government, I acquired things. I had things before I came into government. Despite the fact that I came from a poor family, saying to you here, I want to open the...
I don't hear anymore. He's disconnected. Okay, let me tell him.
The contract, you have to go on measured works. The project will cost the people of St. Lucia more than double because they will have to pay for a start. And after they pay for a start, they now have to go and finish the project.
Now, Mr. Joseph,
Are you with me, so?
You sort of got disconnected when you were explaining.
Are you with me?
Yes, you hearing me? You hearing me?
I think we kind of frozen there.
I'm hearing you. Are you hearing me? I'm hearing.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I am hearing you. Okay, Mr. Joseph. Well, I don't know what has happened, but Mr. Joseph, I was hearing you and you're not hearing me. But Guy, it has been a very long program. It has been a very long program, and you know, a lot of people have been watching and listening to what we're saying. So we'll have to do another session to get all the information from Mr. Joseph. So it was a pleasure staying with you tonight. It was a long night, and I appreciate you watching. So again, thanks for your support. Many of you stayed, my YouTubers stayed, many of you stayed on Facebook and also on GVD TV. We want to thank you for all this. And what we will do right now, I will say good night, and we will come back again another day with some information concerning what Mr. Joseph was saying. It may be on an off day. So if I'm not on GVT TV 115, you can catch me on YouTube or on Facebook so we could continue this conversation. Thank you for all your coffees and being such a good sport. I love you. Have a blessed night. Good night. Bye. Love you, so.
We expose lies and deceit. Expect us.